In life, we have the opportunity to create inspiration and passion. My guest today is a woman of passion, Eden Alpert. Stay close. I'll be right back. I want to welcome to the show today Eden Alpert. She is a philanthropist, restaurateur, and an entrepreneur. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. It's so wonderful to be here today.
Yeah. You know, Eden, I've known you for a while, and you're always doing something inspirational. Talk to me about, I know you're a co-owner of the wonderful Herb Alpert's Vibrato, which is your father. If people don't know who Herb Alpert is, he's a legend. Musician, I would say he's an entertainment entrepreneur. He was the owner of A&M Records, and you grew up being around all of that, right?
I did. It was a very fun, entertaining, interesting life.
I can imagine. And you right now have Vibratos, which is tell people what it's a jazz dining space, but it's really a place to just listen to amazing music.
It's a live jazz supper club that's located at the top of Beverly Glen in Mulholland and Bel Air. We've been there for 16 years, and my father had this vision of creating a space that was for musicians to have a space to go and entertain people that didn't have this beautiful, sexy vibe with good food and good sound. So he hired an acoustician, which a lot of people don't even know that there's acousticians, which I didn't know until a few years ago, believe it or not. And that is an engineer that comes in and does pretty much recording studios. So they know how to make the sound correct and work well while eating and talking and being able to do everything. So the sound is pretty phenomenal in our place. It's special.
And the entertainment is booked weekly, or is it just people like you have an in-house group that comes in once a week, or is it just fans that say, I want to see so and so sing?
That's a really good question. So we have a protocol we follow, and that protocol is you have to be somewhat educated. And when I say educated, I just mean someone who's played around or tours, not a new act.
Correct.
You know, it can't be like that. And you have to have a following. Or you want to have a following, because we do a cover charge, and part of you getting paid, part of the artist getting paid is them filling the room. So, you know, a lot of people come to me, a lot of people we know about. I will go and see someone performing somewhere, and I'm more than happy to do that if I have the time and say, yes, I would love to have you on our stage. I've actually gone out and sought people out that have gotten record deals in the past with David Foster.
Mm-hmm.
I have a very good ear.
Mm-hmm.
I am not talented. I cannot sing, nor do you want me to. But you know, I love what I do. I love music. And I like helping artists build a following.
Correct. Or an artist who has already had a career and wants to continue performing.
100%.
You know,
Yeah.
I think that's inspirational to help them, because this is their life's work. And if everybody closes the door to them, you know, I actually, years ago, I work in Zurich a lot, mm-hmm. and I went to a country western jamboree, and what is her name? Amazing country western singer, Reba McEntire.
I love Reba.
So I had never seen her in concert. And because Switzerland is not the biggest fans of country western, I bought tickets for my friend who's a PR lady there. And for her birthday, we sat in the second row. And there was only 100 people. And she put on a show. What a dynamic performer. I am such a huge fan of hers. I mean, as if she was performing to, you know, thousands of people, her presentation. So I understand that people have to keep performing who are artists. Mm-hmm. Your work also, you're on the board of the Concern Foundation, Omni Peace Foundation. Tell me about that, because I know that there's Omni's the one with the Africa, right?
Right. My friend Mary Finaro has built, to date, 7 schools in Africa. And they started as music schools, but now they're music and education. And it's very difficult to do that. She's done this over the last 15 years. For me, it being music driven is extremely important. Here's the thing for me. Music is a language of its own. You know, it sings to it opens people up in so many ways. It gives everyone a different feeling when you listen to music. So you could be happy and something can put you in a really sad mood. I can listen to another song. Most of my music that I listen to makes me feel really good and want to dance. But if I've just broken up with someone, some of the music will make me cry. You know? And music it feeds the soul.
Correct.
That's my...
And I think the key with music is it's the vibration that lifts you up. And I think we need that, especially in these times. But music is and when a person plays from the heart, you really feel it.
It's all about a feeling. My father always says if you feel it, do it.
Correct.
You know, and he's 86, but he looks and acts like he's in his late 60s, and he's amazing and still recording and painting and sculpting.
I love that. I love that about performers who never really stop, you know. Yeah. So on the foundation, I know you also are very big in women's empowerment. Talk to me about really, as a not just a woman, but I know women sometimes have a hard time being able to be heard in a business room. I know with one of my clients recently, she sold a big movie and she was the only woman. They tried to kick her off, but she pushed through it. And I said, you go back in there and you say, I'm pulling this project, because she owned the book rights. So I was so proud of her. They finally, it was all men dominated, and so we have to understand, and I understand both sides because I hear and see what women go through. So as a woman yourself, also with vibratos, have you found that being a challenge, or was it just basically they felt, well, you know, your dad is, you know, you know?
That's another really good question, Gary. I feel like I've always had this energy about me. Well, it took years of doing a lot of self-work. I feel that self-work is something I'm going to do till the day I'm dead. It means I'm going to be working on myself forever, and the day I stop doing that, I'm no longer here. And I feel that that's a really important thing that I instill in my daughter. Women are not heard enough and not seen enough, and we need to be heard and seen, and we need to own our power, and there's nothing wrong with that, because we are very powerful. We do a lot of things, and we need to be honored for that. So when you honor yourself, and I wear this, and it says love, to remind myself that if I don't love me first, how can I love anybody or anything else in my space? Correct. So when I learned to love Eden and accept Eden for my good, my bad, everything about it, which took many years to do, everything shifted. So it is a vibration. It's all about vibration.
Yes, and it's what I speak about is in the yes frequency for years, is about if your vibration is on a high note, you will attract those energies of empowerment, inspiration, self-love. But if you're living in the past or you're too worried about the future, then you're not going to be 100% in the now of Eden. And I think people sometimes can be fearful of the now because, I have to yes, you do have to, and sometimes it can be uncomfortable. What makes you uncomfortable? Anything?
Sure. There's a lot of things. Gosh darn it, you're asking me really good questions. Now you're making me think about this one. What makes me uncomfortable? I don't know. I haven't thought of that.
Do you get irritated or stressed or something?
I get stressed when people are not treating people correctly. Okay. I'm learning to not get involved in things that are not my business, if that makes sense.
Yes.
And I have a control issue, at the restaurant, but not controlling that it has to be my way. I just have really high expectations, and sometimes that's a really awful word to have too.
Right.
Because not everyone's going to be like me, so I have to back down on that high expectation. So uncomfortable for me is learning to take a breath.
Patience.
Yes, patience. Meditation, which I really need to do a lot more of. Sitting still is uncomfortable for me. See how I'm moving?
Okay.
You know, and keeping my mouth shut sometimes when I'm supposed to, because I really want to speak. I'm very transparent and honest and open, and sometimes, and I try to do it in the kindest way. I think I'm pretty good at talking to people kindly and knowing what their needs are, but I'm not always right. So to just zip it is really hard for me.
Zip it. No, I think sometimes it's hard to, especially if someone is very opinionated or that they are in a position where you go, ooh, I can't really say that. You just listen. And I always say, be Switzerland. You just listen. And then if they ask, you say, this is my point of view. And, you know, it's finding that balance, I think, is the situation that we all have to learn. Also, what do you, what is your favorite memory as a child growing up?
I would have to say, I didn't get to really be a child that much, but that's not a bad thing. It made me who I am today.
Right.
But being on tour with my dad, when I had the opportunity to do that, was probably one of the funnest things for me to do. I look at my dad like as an adult now, I look at my dad like I'm a proud parent. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
Like I just
absolutely
admire and not Google. I get gaga when I see him perform because he's that talented.
Well, I think it's always you have the front row seats. You know, I got to see so many things growing. I didn't grow up here in Hollywood, but I came here at a young age, and I was thrust in the entertainment business with, you know, various successful people. I got to be on stage, watch them film, and be behind the scenes. So it's all an education. And, you know, you're perceived as, you know, sort of having more insight. And I think insight is really one of the most important things with all people around the world. If I said to you, what do you like the most about Eden? What's your favorite trait when people say, Eden is?
Eden knows everybody.
Okay.
She knows everybody. No,
That's your podcast.
Yeah.
Eden knows everybody.
Eden knows everybody. But I genuinely know how to nurture those relationships.
Yes. And
and that's important.
And that is so important. And
important.
I think, you know, knowing everybody, I love knowing people too. You can ask me, you know, do you know anybody who, you know, has refrigerators? I'll say, I know, yes, you can call him. He'll get you the great one.
But even my refrigerator guy is a friend of mine. That's how much I love. I genuinely love people. I'm a people person, and I care about people, and I love to get to know people and who they are. So,
what's Eden's biggest fear?
I would have to say, you know, edification is really big to me, and compliments. You know, one of my love languages to feel, you know, to have other people be proud of me. And I think because there was a lack of that from my mother. So, and I think it's really important for moms in particular. It's important for both parents, but moms, I really gush over my daughter in a positive, healthy way. And it's important. So I love compliments, and I want to make people proud of me. I don't like to disappoint. So my biggest fear is disappointment, you know, letting people down.
Right. How old is your daughter?
She's 26 last Sunday.
Wow. Yeah. Excellent. Yeah. You know, it is such a, let's say, I don't want to say a hard thing, but it's a big job to raise children.
She's my biggest accomplishment. That's what I said in a post today. And you know what? I didn't think I'd be a good parent because I didn't have good parenting on one side. I had great parenting from my father's side.
Right.
And I'm okay with saying that. By the way, it made me the person that I am. So it's not a pity story.
Correct.
It's a beautiful story. it took a lot of work. No one gives us a rule book on this, and I am not perfect by any means, but she is an extraordinary child, and she's kind and thoughtful and has compassion. And I think a lot of that came from me teaching her that. You role model what you're with. So I'm very proud of Kylie.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Kylie. I've not met her yet, but I look forward to meeting her. What is your interpretation of women's empowerment?
It's having more knowledge of your space to me. Really diving deep into, okay, here's a good example. Please don't get married and not know your situation. That's fine if you want to be a parent and raise children, but I think we all have a right to know what are our funds, what's the money situation like, what are you doing, where's our money going? And it's not just about the money, it's about everything. Why don't you pay part the bills? Why we all need to have a part in everything, because if we don't, we lose ourselves. And I'm just using parenting as one part of it, but I think it's really empowering to have a lot of knowledge and a lot of self-help, reading books, The Power of Now. There's so many books I can't even go into it, but really I've done so much self-growth. Anytime I have an opportunity to a seminar, I go and I do it. And it doesn't mean I'm doing guru-y stuff.
Correct.
I'm empowering myself with information to make myself a better person as long as I'm on this planet.
And information is power.
Yes.
Because if you don't do something new, nothing changes.
Right.
Yes.
Yes.
What are the qualities of an empowered woman?
To me, for me, my qualities are I'm authentic, I'm transparent, I can be a little tough. I don't, and by the way, no doesn't mean no forever. It means no, not right now, which took a long time for me to learn. I didn't like to hear. Another uncomfortable thing for me was when someone would say no. And I would felt like I completely failed something. It actually means I'm going to try harder to make you say yes, or get a yes answer. So, and it's, and also for me, it's being vulnerable, and just being really, really having clarity and focus, and goals. I think goals are, very important for everybody to have.
Can a woman who is empowered maintain her femininity?
100%. But we have to work on that. I have a very masculine side,
Right.
and it's intimidating. And I didn't know that until all my life when people were saying that. When they say they're intimidated, I used to think it meant they were afraid of me. I'm tough and I'm honest, but I'm honest, and I ask if I can be honest with people. I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings, but when you're married, and I'm married for the second time, I can be emasculating, and I'm aware of that. So when you have awareness, I think you can shift it. When I go there, I might have to turn around and say, I'm sorry, did that come out wrong? I don't want to always apologize, but did that come off the wrong way? I don't intend to come off the wrong way. And I have to work on this. This is something I think all powerful women have to work on. Powerful and successful too. Sometimes there might be more finance on one end, so that can also be emasculating. So it's a juggle forever that I have to personally work on. But yes, you can be I think I'm very feminine.
Yes, you are. Absolutely. No, but I think the communication in any relationship, whether it's personal, business, there has to be communication. Otherwise, it doesn't work.
Well, communication is key.
Correct.
It's the key to knowledge, communication. You have to communicate. Everything fails when you don't communicate. And even if you don't know how to do it, if you try and keep trying and working on it, I think you just get better at it the more you do it.
Absolutely. The other thing, you've drawn from professional inspiration from other women. Tell me someone who is a inspirational woman that you have been inspired by.
I think there's many, and I take little bits and pieces from various women. I would say most recently, well, I've always admired Oprah. I love her story.
Correct.
And I love who she is, and there's no nonsense, and she does stuff she wants to do. And I listened to a video she did at some graduation the other day at this seminar I did. And, when she's done with something, she moves on to the next and creates something magnificent. And I feel like you have to go with your feeling. Like the word feeling again, when you feel something in your gut, you got to go with it and just take that by the reins and make it happen. And I don't believe in the pity story. I don't have enough money. I don't have enough time. I can't do this. I can't do that. I don't. Everyone has a story, and some of them are really, really painful and really, really, really awful. And I know that. But we have a choice to shift that. And it's not always easy for everyone, but everyone has a struggle getting out of that space. So it's possible.
And a lot of people play the victim mentality, and that's so easy to do instead of actually doing something. Because we do have a choice, and this life is a schoolroom. Everything we have experienced or learned has brought you to this place, and you being backstage with your dad, everything has brought you so you know where things are and what's happening for the future. It's quite incredible how if you put the dots of pieces later on like a puzzle, you look back and you go, oh, that's why I did that. That's why I met this person. That's why I experienced this, and this is great. Answer me these one questions. Life is?
It's one big lesson for me, and it's incredibly painful and incredibly satisfying, and there's so many emotions that come with it, but it's full of gratitude for me. Life is just an abundance of love and gratitude.
Love is?
Love is the root of it all for me. Love is where it starts and where it is and what we all need and want.
Exactly. What is on your bucket list that you say, I want to do this?
I want to speak on stage.
Okay.
To 15,000 people or more.
Okay.
That's I know. I want to motivate and speak and inspire.
Okay.
And I've always wanted to do that. It's not about being famous. It's not about being on TV. It's not about that. It's about speaking to people, and if somebody gets a nugget of something that they relate to from me, because my story is interesting and people assume so much about me that isn't really the story.
Correct.
And if I can share that story and move somebody and help somebody, that's what I would want to leave going, I did it all.
Correct.
I did it all.
Excellent. Well, I thank you so much for coming in studio today, Eden. It's
Thank
always
you.
a pleasure, and it's inspiring to have you here.
Thank
and
you.
I want to wish you the best always, and thank you.
Thank you for having me. This has been really fun, and I always love seeing you, and more recently, a lot more. So thank you.
Yes. I'm Gary Quinn. Thank you for joining Ready, Set, Live today. Until next time, be well.